Welcome back to Ethereal Mindfulness. Today we're diving into the minds of the most influential Western philosophers of all time. From ethics to metaphysics, their ideas have shaped everything from science to society. Imagine a universe of thought, where questions about existence, knowledge, values, reason, mind, and language have been pondered for centuries. These aren't just dusty old ideas, they're the bedrock of how we understand ourselves and the world around us. So let's explore the top 10 Western philosophers and their most impactful ideas. We begin our journey with Socrates, a man whose very name is synonymous with wisdom. Imagine the bustling marketplaces of ancient Athens alive with debate and discussion. Socrates was a master at turning everyday conversations into profound philosophical inquiries. He didn't write anything down. He believed in the power of dialogue, of challenging assumptions and prodding people to think critically. His method, known as the Socratic method, is still used in classrooms and boardrooms today. It's all about asking the right questions, probing questions that peel away layers of assumption and lead us closer to the truth. Socrates firmly believed that the unexamined life is not worth living. He saw self-reflection as essential to a life well lived. Even in the face of death, Socrates remained committed to his principles, showing the world that a life dedicated to truth and virtue is a life worth living. His legacy continues to inspire us to question, to seek wisdom, and to live examined lives. Our journey now takes us to Plato, a student of Socrates and a giant of Western thought. Plato sought to create a more just and rational society. He believed the physical world is a shadow of a higher reality, a realm of forms. Imagine a perfect circle. For Plato, it exists in the realm of forms. This realm is eternal and unchanging, containing the perfect essence of everything. In The Republic, he outlines his vision for an ideal society ruled by philosopher kings. Plato's theory of forms has shaped Western philosophy for centuries. Our next stop is Aristotle, a student of Plato who became one of the most influential thinkers in history. While Plato was captivated by the eternal and unchanging, Aristotle was fascinated by the world around him. He was a keen observer of nature, covering everything from logic and ethics to biology and physics. Aristotle believed that knowledge begins with our senses. We observe the world, gather data, and then use our reason to make sense of it all. This approach, known as empiricism, forms the foundation of the scientific method. Aristotle wasn't just a scientist, he was also a philosopher who grappled with life's biggest questions. He believed that the goal of human life was eudaimonia, often translated as happiness or flourishing. For Aristotle, eudaimonia wasn't about fleeting pleasure. It was about living a virtuous life in accordance with reason. His emphasis on observation, reason, and balance had a profound impact on Western thought. Aristotle reminds us that true knowledge comes from a combination of observation and reason, and that a virtuous life is a life lived in moderation and balance. Our journey now takes a leap forward to the 17th century, to René Descartes, a French philosopher and mathematician. Descartes was determined to find a solid foundation for knowledge, a starting point from which he could rebuild our understanding of the world. His famous declaration, "Cogito ergo sum," I think therefore I am, became a cornerstone of modern philosophy. Descartes argued that the very act of doubting one's own existence proves that there must be a thinking thing doing the doubting. This emphasis on the mind and its ability to reason is what we call rationalism. Descartes believed that reason, not sensory experience, was the ultimate source of knowledge. His work in analytical geometry provided a new way of understanding space and laid the groundwork for later developments in calculus and physics. Descartes' legacy is complex and multifaceted, praised for his contributions to science and criticized for his mind-body dualism. His emphasis on reason and his quest for a firm foundation for knowledge continue to shape the way we think today. Descartes reminds us that our consciousness is the most fundamental truth we can know. Our journey now brings us to Immanuel Kant, an 18th century German philosopher whose ideas had a seismic impact on Western thought. Kant's philosophy asks a profound question: what can we know? He reconciled Descartes' rationalism with Locke's empiricism. Our minds shape our experience, imposing categories on sensory data. Kant called this transcendental idealism. He distinguished between phenomena and noumena. Kant's ideas continue to challenge and inspire thinkers today. Our exploration now takes us to 19th century Germany, where we encounter Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. Hegel believed that history wasn't just a random series of events, but a progressive unfolding of reason in the world. He saw history as a dialectical process, a kind of conversational debate that unfolds over time. Imagine two opposing ideas clashing, a thesis and an antithesis. From this clash, a new idea emerges, a synthesis that incorporates elements of both but transcends them. This synthesis then becomes the new thesis, and the process starts all over again. Hegel argued that this dialectical process was driving history forward, pushing humanity towards greater freedom and self-consciousness. He believed that the ultimate goal of history was the realization of the absolute idea, a state of perfect unity and understanding. Hegel's philosophy is dense and challenging, but it had a profound impact on 19th and 20th century thought. His ideas influenced everyone, from Karl Marx to existentialist philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre. Hegel's legacy is a reminder that history is a dynamic process of becoming, and that our understanding of ourselves and the world is constantly evolving. Our journey takes us to 19th century England, where we encounter John Stuart Mill, a philosopher who championed individual liberty. Mill was a strong advocate for utilitarianism, judging actions by their consequences. The greatest happiness principle states actions are right if they promote happiness. Mill defended individual liberty, arguing for freedom as long as it doesn't harm others. His work raises questions about balancing freedom and the common good. Our exploration takes us to 19th century Germany, where we encounter Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher who challenged traditional morality and religion. Nietzsche proclaimed that God is dead, a cultural observation. He believed the Enlightenment undermined traditional morality and religion. This was liberating yet terrifying, leaving a void of meaning. Nietzsche introduced the Übermensch, who creates their own values. The Übermensch embraces life's challenges with creativity and self-mastery. Nietzsche aimed to overcome nihilism, finding new meaning in a world without God. His ideas challenge us to question our assumptions about morality, religion, and life's meaning. Our journey now takes us to 20th century Germany, where we encounter Martin Heidegger, a philosopher whose dense and challenging work grappled with fundamental questions about the nature of being and the meaning of existence. Heidegger's philosophy is notoriously difficult, but at its heart lies a simple yet profound question: what does it mean to be? Heidegger believed that Western philosophy had lost sight of this fundamental question, becoming too preoccupied with analyzing specific entities and concepts. He argued that we need to return to the question of being itself to understand the ground from which all our other inquiries arise. To do this, Heidegger introduced the concept of Dasein, often translated as being there or being in the world. Dasein refers to the unique way that human beings exist in the world, characterized by its being in the world, its thrownness into a world that it must constantly interpret and navigate. Heidegger's philosophy has had a profound impact on 20th and 21st century thought, influencing fields as diverse as philosophy, theology, literature, and architecture. His ideas continue to challenge us to think deeply about the nature of being, the meaning of existence, and our place in the world. Our journey culminates with Jean-Paul Sartre, a 20th century French philosopher whose ideas about freedom and responsibility resonate deeply today. Sartre was a leading figure in existentialism, emphasizing individual existence and freedom. Existentialists believed we create meaning in our lives through choices and actions. Sartre declared that existence precedes essence. We define who we are through our choices. This responsibility can be a source of anxiety, but also gives our lives meaning. Sartre's philosophy is one of action and engagement with the world. We are the authors of our own lives, creating our own values and meaning. These philosophers, from the bustling marketplaces of ancient Athens to the cafes of existentialist Paris, have each left an indelible mark on how we understand the world, our choices and ourselves. They've given us tools to think critically, to question our assumptions and to grapple with life's biggest questions. If you enjoyed this exploration, like and subscribe for more philosophical insights. And remember, the journey to understanding is one we walk together. See you next time on Ethereal Mindfulness.